Ladies and gentlemen, this is Urex and this is Dark Messiah of Might and Magic review. Christian Gaming. Okay. This is by the channel Seths in Tech. Yes, another Seth video. Seth's videos are all awesome. Yeah, sometimes it could be hard to, I guess, distinguish if something is part of the game or Seth is making it up. That's how good these reviews are. So yeah, an interesting, if inaccurate account of God's struggle versus degeneracy in this cinematic retelling of Genesis, Deuteronomy. Okay, I don't know what the hell is this, but it's gonna be fun since it's Seth's video. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, so I know which type of videos to react to more, I guess. Check out the reaction today, there's a link in the description. Check out the cards and cards, and yeah, let's watch it.
Hey people, Seth here. Today, I'll be reviewing Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. Strangely, Dark Messiah is a game about breaking your dad out of jail. Stranger yet, Dark Messiah is very patchy with presenting its source material. If anything, Dark Messiah is a glorified visual novel based on King James Version Genesis 17 through 20. We've got all the set pieces, Lot's arrival to and the subsequent smiting of Sodom and Gomorrah, women turning into pillars of salt for disobeying God, and a woman of your own flesh and blood getting you drunk and impregnating herself with your seed because there's no other men around. It's all there, and yet...
Okay, what the fuck?
God and a woman...
Genesis 19:31, and the firstborn said unto the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth.
Woman of your own flesh and blood getting you drunk and impregnating.
Genesis 19:32, come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with them, and they preserve. Okay, I have bullshit. Wait a second. Now what the fuck? This is real? Genesis 19:32. This is real. I thought this is just, I guess Seth is making this shit up. I'm guessing this is Old Testament, right? He said King James, so I guess it's an Old Testament. Ugh.
Impregnating herself with your seed because there's no other men around. It's all there. And yet, I can't help but feel that the message of the church is somehow lost in this depiction of the Old Testament.
Alright, just wait a second. Yeah, there you go, Old Testament. Here's what I'm thinking. Before the New Testament came, how the fuck people are fine by all these things? Like, okay, this is what our Bible says? Or was that the normal thought of the time? I don't even know, man. Everybody thinks, okay, time machine, I would go back to this time. I would not go back. Those times were fucked up.
For a start, the Pharaoh of Egypt was not a necromancer. Yes, it's entirely possible that there were trained combat gimps employed by his forces against the tribes of Judea, but it is highly unlikely that all the prominent scholars would simply leave out his ability to summon bone dragons and animate the dead. That's blasphemy. The only spellcaster with that kind of power level is Moses in Exodus, parting the Red Sea to escape the Pharaoh, using cheat codes for infinite mana, and making rocks bleed fresh drinking water is all in a day's work for him. That's based on credible evidence. The more I play Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, the more I'm convinced this isn't a Christian game at all, and I feel that I've been grievously misled by the cover title into thinking otherwise. If you want to teach your children the lessons of God through video games, I recommend you look for more educational titles elsewhere. Story. You play as Seraph, the half-demon son of Demetrius LeBron, two-time NBA champion and demon lord of the High Hells. Like any true absent father, Demetrius only begins contacting you telepathically when he's in jail. Seraph, my boy, I know I missed out on your childhood and left you to be raised by demonic sorcerers, but I had a good reason. Listen, mind helping your old man out? Bring me the Skull of Shadows and free me from this whack-ass prison. We can go for McDonald's after. I'll buy you a $1 menu. My treat. So you cluelessly murder your way across the continent while deciding whether freeing your father and subverting the International Court of Justice is ethical or not. One may argue that a true objectivist egoist would do whatever they feel like doing, and any negative ramifications of freeing your demonic father on the terrestrial world are simply moral spooks. Morality itself is a spook. Conscience is a spook. Or you can take the utilitarian...
There are a ridiculous amount of people who plays open world RPG games with that kind of mentality. right? Some of the people are really known. I'm like, how do you? I mean, I understand this is just fun game, but if you play every single game like that, that just shows that your thinking is like that. How does that even come on, man?
Approach and decide that the lives of millions of unwashed peasants who probably dabble in incestuous unions and child abuse are worth more than your own personal happiness as a son being united with his single father who made some mistakes and lost custody of his only child due to the entrenched pro-feminist lobby of the Ashan courts. Decision-making in Dark Messiah involves making the difficult choice between a literal semen demon who will protect, swallow, and adore you forever, and acts only in your own best interests to overthrow your father and put you on the throne of hell, or a shrill-voiced, shrieking, roasty hag with a Germanic fridge frame body and problematic haircut who wants you to do every
They're having a moment there, lying there, and he's just giving his performance of his life, and this guy just shooting arrow in his neck, like, man, wait a second, I'm talking here.
Everything she says, despite never offering anything in return besides using telekinesis twice, who can be betrayed and left to be eaten by a gigantic tarantula. But this doesn't stop her. She's so bitter that her own vitriol keeps her alive so she can bitch at you after being revived as a lich. It's great role-playing like this that keeps Arcane Studios a respected developer. Gameplay. Dark Messiah is probably the best first-person fighting game out there. It's also one of the few titles out there that can be completed using no weapons, besides your left foot. The game lets you develop your character in different directions by spending skill points you acquire towards different character paths, with Warrior being the most pragmatic and straightforward. Previously, I would have said stealth isn't very viable, but on my current playthrough, with the full stealth perks and the assassin suit equipped, I'm virtually invisible in the shadows unless someone walks right into me. Mana recovers too slowly to use spells regularly, and forces you to chug down mana potions instead. To correct this, I strongly suggest you use my console commands to make magic viable, because normally it's pretty shitty to wait several years to fire a single fire arrow. Magic also requires a huge amount of skill points to acquire, so I suggest you give yourself a couple of freebies to play around with environmental kills. Combat keeps you occupied for most of the game, besides climbing ropes for a few hours in a platforming section that you make from your rope bow that spawns infinite amounts of ropes attached to arrows enchanted to be harmless against anything that isn't a ceiling. The combat's really good, and you can approach situations through a variety of ways, meaning you can either kill enemies directly with your abilities, or use the terrain and environmental hazards.
Alright, in 2006, right? YouTube has a great tool, I guess, this tells you. In 2006, this game came out. I'm not gonna lie, for 2006, this doesn't look that bad, right? Graphics, mechanics. Was this this game at good budget or something? I mean, I know it's not that, next level shit, right? But for 2006, an open world game like this, it's not bad.
To help them meet their demise. When I played this many years back, I also didn't appreciate the fact that there's a variety of little side paths for each area, letting you do optional tasks, reach additional equipment and secrets, or allowing you to skip past most of the level. There's a lot of nice subtle interactions as well, such as when enemies are very injured, they'll start to limp away from combat and attempt to escape the combat area. If you've got daggers equipped and their backs are turned to you, your daggers will switch positions, and tapping left click will instantly execute them by firing a dagger in their neck. Doing enough damage to enemies also unlocks an adrenaline move, which empowers whatever weapon or spell you're currently using for the next attack, which can, for example, permanently freeze an enemy solid with the ice spell, or permanently shrink down an enemy with the weaken spell, who will run for their lives and scream until Seraph's foot automatically crushes them when you walk too close. When this game came out, it got a lot of criticism that it was, quote, too easy because of
Alright, seriously, man, I'm not gonna lie, the game's mechanics looks awesome, the fighting and everything. If somebody's back turns against you, I guess you just throw the fucking sword like a finisher move. That is a drill move, like a power move that basically shreds people, and then turning people into tiny, and then if you walk towards them, you actually crush them. What the fuck?
Of a kick. I'd wager that none of these so-called games journalists played it on the highest difficulty setting. So, let's compare the same—
This is a game journalist, really? What the fuck? I never listened to that shit. Like, come on, does anybody even listen to that? What, games journalists say?
level on all three difficulties. Easy, As expected, not too much to deal with. Medium, manageable, but not unbearable. And here's the same level on Insane Mode Dante Must Die difficulty. Good luck surviving this shit, you goddamn casual. Criticisms. There are legitimate problems with this game. It's still unstable as shit, or at least the current Steam copy is. Get used to reloading saves because Source Engine died on the loading screen, and never told you because you're in full screen mode and the error message only appears on a desktop. If you would describe vanilla Skyrim as prone to crashing, then you can describe Dark Messiah as a 20-car crossroad pileup with no survivors. Except their children, who will now be orphans, forced to sell their bodies on the street. Dark Messiah, summarized briefly, is a very solid first-person fighting game with a terrible shitty story written in a bastardized universe Ubisoft spawned after acquiring the rights to the Might and Magic franchise, where all the lore revolves around Dragon this and Dragon that. All the gods are dragons. There's the Dragon of Light, the Dragon of Order, and the Dragon of Chaos. Hell, fuck, why not? Jesus is a dragon too. The plot of both this game
Seriously, dragon kind of feels like, come on, man. Anytime somebody uses a dragon as a new, I mean, I get it. If something like Dragon Age or something uses the dragons in them, like, okay, sure, it's in the name. There has been what, for 3-4 games now. All right, fine. Any new games kind of uses dragon in them as some storyline driver, just like, man, come on, it's getting old.
and all the Heroes of Might and Magic games after 5 is like DeviantArt meets porn script writing school. But just this once, the end product is a diamond in the rough, which justifies it all. In many ways, Dark Messiah is like Super Mario, except instead of crushing wildlife with your titanic weight, you kick them into serrated spikes. As always, more content to come. A warm thanks to the many members of the Merchants Guild.
What is Merchants Guild? Every time it says Merchants Guild, what is a Merchants Guild? Is that some kind of a joke he's making that I don't realize it? Alright, first of all, Dark Messiah, holy shit, right? First of all, those Genesis things that, he wrote. I was damn sure that no way those are real, that's why I googled it, but apparently those things are real. Old Testament, I mean, what the fuck, the things like that, it is written there. Why is the specific, like, you have to get your father drunk? Why is that there? I mean, who wrote that? Man? This is just heavy. I thought this is definitely Seth's invention. No way this is real, but it was real. Damn. Alright, well, that was Dark Messiah of my. At least the title says Dark Messiah, so, right? So people, all the Christians who wanna buy their children Christian games would at least see that Dark Messiah might not be the game I want. So yeah, that was Dark Messiah Might and Magic review, Christian gaming. I like how he just put that in title. My channel says in tech. If you like my Rick Sunday, subscribe. Check out the Rick Sunday. There's a link in the description. Check out the cards, in cards, and yeah, I'll see you next time.